Shalom, my brothers and sisters in Yahuwah, our Elohim, and welcome to our midweek Bible study. Hope everybody's having a good week. And guess what? The Shabbat is right around the corner. We're almost there, gang. All right, go ahead and grab your Bibles because we got a lot to go over tonight. There's a lot of important stuff here that we need to go over. So get your Bibles and grab something to drink, and we'll get started tonight. Get all comfy and cushy and ready to go. Let's see if I have any water left in my jug. Well, there's a little bit. Good enough to wet my whistle. All right, gang, I'll give you just a second to get yourselves together, and we'll get started tonight, okay? All right, we're going to continue our adventure in Melakim Bet, which is 2 Kings. We'll be starting in chapter 16 and go through chapter 18 tonight, okay? 16, 17, and 18 in 2 Kings, all right? So go ahead and get yourself settled, and we'll get started tonight. All right, gang. Isn't it wonderful that we all get to come together to read Yah's Word? Isn't that awesome? Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Yahuwah. He brings us together to read His Word. And we know then what Yahuwah is expecting of us. That's right. Let's get going. Chapter 16. In the 17th year of Pekah, son of Remaliahu, Ahaz, son of Jotham, sovereign of Yehuda, began to reign. So a new king in Yehuda. Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. And he did not do what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, his Elohim, as his father David had done. So he was off the rails right from the get-go. Not doing the right thing. Let's just put it that way. Let's see what else he did. Verse 3. But he walked in the ways of the sovereigns of Yasharel, and he also made his son pass through the fire, according to the abominations of the nations whom Yahuwah had dispossessed from before the children of Yasharel. Passed through the fire. He sacrificed his son to Moloch. Yeah, isn't that a sweet thing? Moloch. Horrible. Verse 4. And he slaughtered and burned incense on the high places, and on the hills, and under every green tree. Yeah, the evergreen trees. Christmas trees. Yeah, Nimrod's phallic symbol. Lovely, huh? Verse 5. Then Retzin, sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliahu, sovereign of Yasharel, came up to Jerusalem to battle, and they besieged Ahaz, but were unable to overcome him. So the sovereign Retzin, the sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, the sovereign of Yasharel, came up to Jerusalem to try to take over Jerusalem and beat Ahaz, but they couldn't pull it off. Verse 6. At that time, Retzin, sovereign of Aram, recovered Eliath from Aram, for Aram, and drove the men of Yehuda from Eliath. And the Edomites went to Eliath and have dwelt there to this day. So they lost a couple of cities there, and the Edomites are living in one. Verse 7. And Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, sovereign of Ashur, saying, I am your servant and your son. Come up and save me from the hand of the sovereign of Aram, and from the hand of the sovereign of Yasharel, who are rising up against me. So this Ahaz guy who sacrificed his son to Moloch is sending a messenger to Tiglath-Pileser, who's the sovereign of Ashur, to come and save him. Yeah, no faith in Yahuwah there, is there? Verse 8. And Ahaz took the silver and gold that was found in the house of Yahuwah, and the treasuries of the house of the sovereign, and sent it as a present to the sovereign of Ashur. So he went through everywhere and got a whole bunch of silver and gold out of Yah's house and out of the king's house, and pilfered everything and sent it to this king Ashur. Verse 9, and the sovereign of Ashur listened to him, and the sovereign of Ashur went up against Damasek, and captured it, and exiled it to Kir, and he killed Retzin. And sovereign Ahaz went to meet Tilgath-Pileser, sovereign of Ashur, at Damasek, and saw a slaughter place that was at Damasek. And sovereign Ahaz sent to Uriah the priest a sketch of the slaughter place and its pattern, according to all its workmanship. So this king of Yehuda, Ahaz, has found himself a slaughter place that he likes in Damasek, in Damascus. Isn't that nice? And he's having Uriah build it for him. Verse 11, and Uriah the priest built a slaughter place according to all that sovereign Ahaz had sent from Damasek. And Uriah the priest made it before sovereign Ahaz came from Damasek. He's supposed to be the head priest, and he's building a pagan altar. Verse 12, and when the sovereign came from Damasek, the sovereign saw the slaughter place, and the sovereign approached the slaughter place and made offerings on it. And he burned his ascending offering and his grain offering, and he poured his drink offering and sprinkled the blood of his peace offerings on the slaughter place. And the bronze slaughter place which was before Yahuwah he brought from the front of the house, from between the new slaughter place and the house of Yahuwah, and put it on the north side of his slaughter place. So he pulled the altar out and set it aside north of his slaughter place. Whoa. Verse 15, and sovereign Ahaz commanded Uriah the priest, saying, on the great slaughter place burn the morning ascending offering, and the evening grain offering, and the sovereign's ascending offering, and his grain offering, with the ascending offering of all the people of the land, and their grain offering, and their drink offerings, and sprinkle on it all the blood of the ascending offering, and all the blood of the slaughtering. And the bronze slaughter place is for me to acquire by. So he's going to use this pagan altar to use for divination. Yeah, I'm not supposed to do that if we're following Torah. No divining, no burning to foreign idols and foreign gods and all this. He was off the rails pretty good. Verse 16, and Uriah the priest did according to all that sovereign Ahaz commanded. And sovereign Ahaz cut off the side panels of the stands, and removed the basins from them. And he took down the sea from the bronze oxen that were under it, and put it on a pavement of stones. So he's dismantling the house of Yahuwah that Solomon built, with the big pool and the oxen that were underneath it. He's just destroying everything. Verse 18, and the covered way which they had built in the house for the Shabbath, and the sovereign's outer entrance, he took from the house of Yahuwah, because of the sovereign of Ashur. And the rest of the acts of Ahaz, which he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehuda? So Ahaz slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, and Hezekiah, his son, reigned in his place. Chapter 17. In the 12th year of Ahaz, sovereign of Yehuda, Hoshea, son of Elah, began to reign over Yasharel in Shemaron for 9 years. So we got a new king in Yasharel. Verse 2, and he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, but not as the sovereigns of Yasharel who were before him. So he wasn't quite as bad as the rest of them, but he still was doing bad things. 3. Shalmaneser, sovereign of Ashur, came up against him, and Hoshea became his servant, and rendered him a present. But the sovereign of Ashur found a conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, sovereign of Mizraim, and had not brought a present to the sovereign of Ashur as year by year. And the sovereign of Ashur shut him up and bound him in prison. So this new king in Yasharel, Hoshea, he made a deal with with the king of Ashur, but instead of sending him the money, the payoff money, he wrote a letter and sent a messenger to So, the sovereign of Mizraim. Help me, help me. So they threw him in prison. Verse 5, and the sovereign of Ashur went through all the land, and went up to Shemaron, and besieged it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the sovereign of Ashur captured Shemaron, and exiled Yasharel to Ashur, and settled them in Halah and Habor, the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. So this is where Yasharel is taken into captivity. They're all taken into captivity here. This is where the northern 10 tribes are taken out of there. Verse 7, now this came to be because the children of Yasharel had sinned against Yahuwah, their Elohim, who had brought them up out of the land of Mizraim, from under the hand of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mizraim, and feared other mighty ones. Okay, so this goes back to Deuteronomy 28. If you follow my laws, if you don't follow my laws. Yeah, well, guess what? They're out of there because they didn't follow Yahuwah's laws. They did not follow Torah. They did horrible, awful things. They had the 2 calves that were in Dan and Bethel. Yeah, they did horrible things. Their kings were terrible. So they're out of there. Verse 8, and walk in the law of the nations whom Yahuwah had dispossessed before them, the children of Yasharel, and of the sovereigns of Yasharel that they had made. And the children of Yasharel secretly did against Yahuwah their Elohim matters that were not right, and they built for themselves high places in all their cities, from watchtower unto the walled city, and set up for themselves pillars and asherim on every high hill, under every green tree. The asherim, goes hand in hand with Baal. It's an obelisk, okay? So it's a phallic symbol. Lovely, huh? Everybody's dancing around it so that, no. And under every green tree, the evergreen tree. Yeah, there's all kinds of paganism going on there. Verse 11, and burned incense there on all the high places, like the nations whom Yahuwah had removed from their presence. And they did evil matters to provoke Yahuwah, and served the idols, of which Yahuwah had said to them, do not do this. And Yahuwah warned Yasharel and Yehudah through all of his prophets and every seer, saying, turn back from your evil ways and guard my commands and my laws, according to all the Torah which I commanded your fathers, which I send to you by my servant the prophets. But they did not listen, and hardened their necks like the necks of their fathers, whom did not put their trust in Yahuwah their Elohim, and rejected his laws and his covenants that he had made with their fathers, and his witnesses which he had witnessed against them, and went after worthlessness, and became worthless, and after the nations who were all around them, of whom Yahuwah had commanded them not to do like them. All right, gang, let's flip over real quick to Hebrews 8:8. Okay, let's go check this out real quick. We need to check all this out. Okay. Hebrews 8:8. If you're in the scriptures, it's page 1172. Okay? Alright. Did you get there? Alright, let's read this real quick because this is what's happening right now. Verse 8, for finding fault with them, he says, see, the days are coming, says Yahweh, when I shall conclude with the house of Yasharel and with the house of Yehuda a renewed covenant, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Mizraim, because they did not continue in my covenant, and I disregarded them, says Yahweh. Yeah, he booted them out. Verse 10, because this is the covenant that I shall make with the house of Yasharel after those days, says Yahweh, giving my laws in their mind, and I shall write them on their hearts, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall by no means teach each one his neighbor, and each one his brother, saying, know Yahweh, because they all shall know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, because I shall forgive their unrighteousness, and their sins, and their lawlessness. I shall no longer remember lawlessness. What's lawlessness? Lawlessness is sin. Yeah, all their sin. Okay, so what we're reading here is what we're reading in 2 Kings. Alright, gang, just wanted to point that out to everybody. Alright, Melakim Bet, chapter 17, verse 16. And they left all the commands of Yahuwah their Elohim, and made for themselves a molded image, 2 calves, and made an Ashtoreth, and bowed themselves to all the hosts of the heavens, and served Baal, and caused their sons and daughters to pass through the fire, and practiced divination and sorcery, and sold themselves to do evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, to provoke him. So Yahweh was very enraged with Yasharel, and removed them from his presence. None was left but the tribe of Yehuda alone. Well, we had Yehuda and Benjamin, and probably most of the Levites there also. Yeah, scattered the 10 tribes to the 4 corners of the earth. Verse 19, Yehuda also did not guard the commands of Yahuwah their Elohim, but walked in the laws of Yasharel, which they made, the doctrines and dogmas of men. Yeah, they made up their own doctrines, they made up their own dogmas. They were just off on their own. Kind of like the Christian churches, all 54,000 denominations of them, all in different directions, all doing their own thing. Nobody following Torah. Yep. Verse 20, and Yahuwah rejected all the seed of Yasharel, and afflicted them, and gave them into the hands of plunderers, until he had cast them out from his presence. Guess what, gang? This is where slavery came from. Because the northern 10 tribes were to the 4 corners of the earth, they all ended up in Africa, and that's why slavery happened, is because that's part of the curse. Read Deuteronomy 28 to the end, to 34. Read it, because then you'll understand where slavery happens, why slavery took place, and why to this day the people, the black people, are still under the thumb of the judgment. It's a judgment because they would not follow Torah. They wouldn't follow Yah's commands. So to this day, they're still under judgment. Interesting, huh? Very interesting. Please do more study into that. Understand who the children of Yasharel are. Understand what the judgment is that they have gone through since this happened, since the scattering of the northern 10 tribes. Understand why. Okay? And then you'll have a better picture on how history is unfolded throughout the ages and why things have happened the way that they have. Alright? Alright, let's continue on. Verse 21. For he tore Yasharel from the house of David, and made Jeroboam son of Nebat sovereign. And Jeroboam drove Yasharel from following Yahweh, and made them commit a great sin. And the children of Yasharel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They did not turn away from them, until Yahweh removed Yasharel from his presence, as he spoke by all his servants the prophets. So Yasharel was exiled from their land to Ashur, as it is to this day. They were scattered to this day. Verse 24. And the sovereign of Ashur brought people from Babel, and from Kutha, and from Avah, and from Hamath, and Sheraphawim, and placed them in the cities of Shemaron, instead of the children of Yasharel. And they took possession of Shemaron, and dwelt in its cities. So the sovereign of Ashur replaced them, kicked them all out of there, and brought his own people in to live in these cities in Shemaron. Verse 25, and it came to be at the beginning of their dwelling there, that they did not fear Yahweh. And Yahweh sent lions among them, which were killing among them. So they didn't respect Yahweh because they were pagans to begin with, and so Yahweh sicked lions on all of them. Verse 26, and they spoke to the sovereign of Ashur, saying, the nations whom you have removed and placed in the cities of Shemaron do not know the right ruling of the Elohim of the land. And he has sent lions among them, and see, they are slaying among them, because they do not know the right ruling of the Elohim of the land. Think about the lady at the well, when Yahusha was speaking to the woman at the well. Yeah, she was from Shemaron. They were pagan. They were totally pagan. And so they're asking this king, sovereign of Ashur, to send them somebody to teach them the ways of Yahweh. Verse 27, and the sovereign of Ashur commanded, saying, send one of the priests whom you exiled from there to go there. Let him go and dwell there, and let him teach them the right ruling of the Elohim of the land. So they picked up one of these priests that was just appointed. He's not of the tribe of Levi. He is just appointed. Who knows what tribe he's from? He just, I wanted to be a priest, so they went ahead and appointed him a priest. They sent a pagan priest in there to teach these people the ways of Yahweh. Oh, this is going to go well. I can see it already, can't you? Verse 28, and one of the priests whom they had exiled from Shemaron came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how to fear Yahweh. But every nation was making mighty ones of its own, and put them in the houses of the high places which the Shemaron had made, every nation in the cities where they dwelt. So they had nothing but idols in all of these high places, and off the rails. They didn't have a clue. Verse 30, and the men of Babel made Succoth, Benoth, and the men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashim. And the Abites made Nabahaz and Tartak, and the Sepharvites burned their children in fire to Adramelech and Anamelech, the mighty ones of Shepharim. Nice. They also feared Yahweh, and from every class they made for themselves priests of the high places, who offered for them in the house of the high places. So there again, they're just making anybody who wants to be a priest. Yeah, anybody, you just sign up over here and we'll make you a priest. You'll be good. Verse 38, they were fearing Yahweh, and they were serving their own mighty ones, according to the ruling of the nations from among whom they had been exiled. To this day they are doing according to the former rulings. They are not fearing Yahweh, nor do they follow their laws or their right rulings, or the Torah and command which Yahweh had commanded the children of Yaakov, whose name he made Yasharel. Yeah, way off the rails. 35. With whom Yahweh had made a covenant and commanded them, saying, do not fear other mighty ones, nor bow down to them, nor serve them, nor slaughter to them, but Yahweh, who brought you up from the land of Mitzrayim with great power and with an outstretched arm. Him you shall fear, and to him you shall bow yourselves, and to him you shall slaughter. And guard to do forever the laws and the right rulings and the Torah and the command which he wrote for you, and do not fear other mighty ones. Talking to the children of Yasharel. That's right, forever. Not just the northern 10 tribes, but all of the children of Yaakov, of Jacob. All of them. That means all of the tribes. And how they are to follow the covenant forever. Come on, Christians. Read what it says. We are grafted into the tree of life. We are Yasharel. Through the blood of Messiah Yahusha. We are Yasharel. We are to be following Torah. It says it. Forever. Okay. Verse 38. This is all pretty important stuff, so pay attention. And do not forget the covenant that I have made with you, and do not fear other mighty ones, but fear Yahweh, your Elohim, so that he delivers you from the hand of all your enemies. And they did not obey, but did according to their former ruling. So these nations were fearing Yahweh and serving their carved images, both their children and their children's children, and their fathers did what they are doing to this day. Wake up, Christians. Wake up. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Wake up. The covenant has been renewed through the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. The covenant has been renewed. We are grafted into the tree of life through his blood. Okay? The covenant has not been thrown aside, thrown away. None of that. Replacement theology, none of that. Read what the word says. Okay? Yahusha followed the law. He is the Word. The Word is the law. Yahusha is the Word made flesh. He is the Word. Nothing has changed except for now we don't go to the temple to make atonement for our sins. Yahusha made it so that we can repent through his sacrifice, through his blood. He paved a path for us to seek our salvation, so we don't have to make sacrifices anymore. There's no temple anyway. But you can see how far off the rails that these people got with doing slaughterings and all this other stuff. They totally were not following Yahuwah. Come back to the covenant. Come back to the covenant. Repent. Start reading your word. Read the truth. I don't care what translation you're reading. It's all there. Read the truth. Pray over it. All right, let's get moving on here. Chapter 18. And it came to be in the 3rd year of Hoshea, son of Elah, sovereign of Yasharel, that Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, sovereign of Yehuda, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Abi, daughter of Zechariah. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his father David did. He took away the high places, and broke the pillars, and cut down the Ashtoreth, and broke in pieces the bronze serpent which Moshe had made. For until those days the children of Yasharel burned incense to it, and called it Nehushtan. Remember the serpent that, because they were getting bitten by snakes. So Moshe made a serpent, and whenever they'd look at the serpent, the snakes would not bite them. Yeah, okay, well, they were using that as an idol also. Yeah, wonderful. Verse 5. He put his trust in Yahuwah, Elohim of Yasharel, and after him was none like him among all the sovereigns of Yehuda, no who were before him. And he clung to Yahuwah. He did not turn away from following him, but guarded his commands, which Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And Yahuwah was with him. Wherever he went, he acted wisely. And he rebelled against the sovereign of Ashur, and did not serve him. He struck the Philistines as far as Azah and its borders, from watchtower unto the walled city. And it came to be in the 4th year of sovereign Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hoshea, son of Elah, sovereign of Yasharel, that Shalmaneser, sovereign of Ashur, came up against Shemaron and besieged it. And they captured it at the end of 3 years. In the 6th year of Hezekiah, that is the 9th year of Hoshea, sovereign of Yasharel, Shemaron was captured. And the sovereign of Ashur exhorted Yasharel to Ashur, and placed them in Halah and Habor, the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. Because they did not obey the voice of Yahuwah their Elohim, but transgressed his covenant, all that Moshe, the servant of Yahuwah, had commanded, and they did not obey, nor do them. And in the 14th year of sovereign Hezekiah, Sennacherib, sovereign of Ashur, came up against all the walled cities of Yehuda, and captured them. And Hezekiah, sovereign of Yehuda, sent to the sovereign of Ashur at Lachish, saying, I have done wrong. Turn away from me. I shall bear whatever you impose on me. And the sovereign of Ashur imposed upon Hezekiah, the sovereign of Yehuda, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. So he's taxing him not to take over Yehuda. Verse 15, and Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of Yahuwah, and in the treasuries of the sovereign's house. At that time Hezekiah cut off the doors of the Hekal of Yahuwah, and the doorposts which Hezekiah, sovereign of Yehuda, had overlaid, and gave it to the sovereign of Ashur. And the sovereign of Ashur sent the Tartan, and the Rabsaris, and the Rabshakeh from Lachish, with a great army against Jerusalem, to sovereign Hezekiah, and they went up and came to Jerusalem. And when they had come up, they came and stood by the channel of the upper pool, which was on the highway to the launderer's field. And they called to the sovereign, and Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna, the scribe, and Joah, son of Asaph, the recorder, came to them. And the Rabshakeh said to them, Please say to Hezekiah, Thus said the great sovereign, the sovereign of Ashur, What is this trust in which you have trusted? You have spoken of having counsel and strength for battle, but they are only words of the lips. And in whom do you trust, that you rebel against me? Now look, you have put your trust in the staff of the crushed reed, Mitzrayim, on which if a man leans, it shall go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, to all who trust in him. But when you say to me, We trust in Yahuwah our Elohim, is it not he whose high places and whose slaughter places Hezekiah has taken away, and said to Yehuda and to Jerusalem, Bow yourselves before this slaughter place in Jerusalem. He's using the fact that Hezekiah tore down all the high places and all the pagan worship and all the Asherims and all the garbage for Baal, and told him to worship at the temple. So he's using that against him. Verse 23, And now I urge you, give a pledge to my master, the sovereign of Ashur. Then I give you 2,000 horses, if you are able to put riders on them. And how do you turn back the face of one commander of the least of my master's servants, and trust in Mitzrayim for chariots and horsemen? Have I now come up without Yahuwah against this place to destroy it? Yahuwah said to me, Go up against this land, and you shall destroy it. So now he's twisting words and saying that Yahuwah sent him up there to destroy Jerusalem. Yeah. Verse 26, Then said Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, and Shabna, and Joah, to the Rabshakeh, Please speak to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it, and do not speak to us in the language of Yehuda, in the ears of the people on the wall. And the Rabshakeh said to them, Has my master sent me to your master, to you, to speak these words, and not to the men sitting on the wall, to eat their own dung and drink their own urine with you? Yeah, after 3 years of being secluded, they didn't have much left in the city, probably. Verse 28, And the Rabshakeh stood and called out with a loud voice in the language of Yehuda, and spoke and said, Hear the word of the great sovereign, the sovereign of Ashur. Oh, this will be good. Thus said the sovereign, Do not let Hezekiah deceive you, for he is unable to deliver you out of his hand. And do not let Hezekiah make you trust in Yahuwah, saying, Yahuwah shall certainly deliver us, and this city is not given into the hand of the sovereign of Ashur. Do not listen to Hezekiah, for thus said the sovereign of Ashur, Make peace with me by a present, and come out to me, and let each of you eat from his own vine, and each from his own fig tree, and each of you drink the waters of his own cistern, until I come. Then I shall take you away to a land like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive trees and honey, and live and not die. But do not listen to Hezekiah, when he misleads you, saying, Yahuwah shall deliver us? Has any of the mighty ones of the nations at all delivered its land from the hand of the sovereign of Ashur? Verse 34. Let me try to get a drink here real quick, you guys. I'm dying. All right. Let's see if we can finish this up. Verse 34. Where are the mighty ones of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the mighty ones of Sherephaim and Henah and Ivah? Did they deliver Shemaron from my hand? Who among all the mighty ones of the lands have delivered their land out of my hand, that Yahuwah shall deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But the people were silent, and did not answer him a word, for the command of the sovereign was, do not answer him. And Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna, the scribe, and Joah, son of Asaph, the recorder, came to Hezekiah with their garments torn, and they reported to him the words of the Rabkasheh. And that's the end of chapter 18. Like I said, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. We now understand how the northern 10 tribes were scattered. And with some research on your own, you will understand how the children of Yasharel ended up in bondage to this day and who they are. Okay? We've also rediscovered that the covenant is renewed. Through Yahusha, the covenant is renewed. It's not a new covenant. It's just been renewed. Some things have changed now because of the blood of Yahusha. Some things have changed. But it's a renewed covenant that we're supposed to be following. Okay? So if you're not familiar with all of that, please go back and read the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, the Tanakh. Go back and reread it, so that way you will familiarize yourself with what you are supposed to be doing for Yahuwah, our Elohim, what he expects of us. Teach your children. They need to learn too. Teach them. Go through the Torah with your children, so they're familiar with it also. So that way they can be in line with the covenant also. That's right. Okay? Alright, gang. That's all I've got tonight. Give thanks and praise to our Elohim, to Yahuwah. Give thanks and praise for the ability to be able to speak to him, to be able to follow his covenant, and to seek our redemption through the blood of Yahusha. Please. Alright, gang. I'm going to let you go. Y'all have a great night. Yah bless each and every one of you that are seeking his knowledge and wisdom. And we will see you on Shabbat for our next study. Okay? Y'all have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you then. Shalom.